Go live!
We're going live!
What's up?
What's going on, guys?
How's everybody on this lovely Friday?
Pretty good. Sun's shining.
Yeah.
I think a few weeks ago I was like, man, this weather, it's here to stay. I'm so excited, and it left. But I hope this time it sticks around. I think
Same. We've had like the craziest weather here. Like, I mean, we're into June now. We've had literally 2 days that were like over 20, and it was like it was that day, and then the rest of the week was like, but like not minus, but obviously like low teens. And then we had a day that was like 35 degrees, and then the next day low teens and rain. And so actually Monday we're supposed to have another pretty decent day, but other than that,
cool. Well,
am I the only one that finds it too hot already, or?
Oh no, you're not one of those, are you?
Oh man,
I didn't even want 25, and I'm good at 25.
Carly and I decided that we're actually solar powered people.
I might be.
Cool. Well, listen, hey, another week of we're going live. Everyone, thanks for tuning in, whether you're watching live or recording. Here we are, 4 budding entrepreneurs, trying to gather some attention around what we're doing, sharing our updates with our lovely followers, people that are kind of interested in what we're doing and wanting to get involved, or people who are doing the same thing that we're doing and wanting to do it themselves. We just figured we would share our journey. And every Friday here at 3 o'clock on Facebook, I think we want to talk about moving this thing to like YouTube so that people can access it a little easier. But we can talk more about that. I'm Cali Braithwaite. I'm out of the GTA. I'm focusing on flips, assignments. I also do flyers for people who are wholesaling across the country. And if you want to reach out to me, 289-207-5316, Instagram, Grow with Cali, or here at Facebook, Cali Braithwaite. Guys, introduce yourselves. Let us know what's going on.
I'll jump in. You, Brad.
Give her,
Brad,
Alex.
go ahead.
All right.
All right, Alex.
Okay, go Brad. Go Brad.
Yeah. So Brad Plume, I'm working on flips mainly in Grey and Bruce County and in the Tri-Cities as well. And then also working on some JVs in regards to some hold rentals.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll go. Alex Mustate. I'm based out of Hamilton, Ontario. With the focus on flips and I guess multi-family conversion projects, really through the GTA, Toronto, Hamilton, and as far as Chatham as well. My contact info is up there, and I'm always looking for opportunities to join ventures, partner, and collaborate.
Awesome.
And of course, my name is Shawn Gunther. I actually am out in the Moncton, New Brunswick area, and I can be reached at 506-800-4289 or on Instagram at the Moncton Wholesaler or on Facebook just at Shawn Gunther. So yeah, like I think we kind of had an idea of what we were going to talk about today, which is basically whether or not, or when to pay your contractors by the hour or by the job, or when to pay cash or when not to. But also, I just like to throw out there quickly, anybody who's watching, please put some comments. Please, interact with us. We'd love to hear what you got to say. We want to try to provide value for you also. So yeah, let's interact and carry on. So who's got an idea? Like, what do you think? Like, obviously, Brad and Alex are the contractor or construction guys here. Why don't you guys chime in a little bit on this?
God damn it, we're not construction guys.
No. Well, you're the more experienced construction.
I'm just joking, Shawn. I'm just joking.
I'd say we're going to start to see a big shift, or we already have seen a big shift currently, or at least myself personally, I'm having a lot of conversations with guys who own companies that they're not willing to give timelines on jobs anymore. They're not willing to price jobs anymore, and they're not willing to be like held accountable to what their specific contracts used to be, mainly because of the supply chain issues and the material price fluctuations. A lot of guys are saying right now, especially anything related to lumber material, you'll order trusses, and even though you've put an order in and you get your trusses 3 weeks later or a month later, the truss company won't ship you your trusses unless you pay for the stipend that they've ended up having to incur over the 3 week period as well. So it's a big mess, and a lot of the big guys that I know, they're just no longer looking at it. Everything is time and material, and it's when it comes and when it gets done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually an excellent point that you're putting out there now too, because I'm sure everybody's realizing all this situation that's going on right now with the shortage of materials. But I don't even think that was kind of our thought process when we did bring this up originally. For the most part, like outside of this situation, like would you have any other thoughts about it, like outside of this current shortage situation?
Yeah, I would say it depends on the project and what you're doing. Like, there's going to be times where certain aspects of a job can be priced per an actual quote, and then you'll have other jobs that are going to be priced at time and material just due to the nature of them. If you're looking at doing something where it's like, hey, this is a really straightforward new build, new construction, new area that's being completely done, it's pretty easy to come up with pricing based on, a job. But anytime you start getting into renovations where it's like you're digging into things or you're changing structure or you're tying into things and stuff like that, most guys are going to come in at a time and material price for that, just because until the walls are opened up, you don't really know what you're dealing with.
How about the trust factor? Like, I feel like there's a trust factor when deciding on, because I think typically hourly is usually better. I don't know. This is the debate.
Yeah,
right? This is the debate. You know what I mean? But I guess what you don't want to do is you don't want to agree to, hey, I'll pay you by the hour, and then you get somebody that you don't really have that great of a relationship with, and there's some trust issues. Are they taking longer than they should? Are they charging you for things that they wouldn't normally? So I guess you really have to have that conversation with the contractor to see what they want to do, because at the end of the day, you're the boss, but they're also the boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, Alex, go ahead.
I was, a number of things came up that I wouldn't mind touching on, but just, I guess with the most recent one from Cali there, Cali, you have to consider that by the hour, depending what the scope of supply is, what the scope of work is. If you're doing a general contract, or if you're hiring somebody that's going to be doing multiple trades, agreeing to an hourly rate puts all the onus and all the responsibility, all the risk on you. If they're going to come in, even post demo and start quoting at that point, they need to take some responsibility for what they see. So putting it on the hour, it's all the risk is on you. You know what I mean? Like, you just kind of need to consider that if you're willing to entertain that. So I would argue that hourly wage, when you're doing your own project management, such as what Brad and I have done or are doing in various projects, and you know that all you need is mud or tape or whatever, maybe it's advantageous to work with someone on an hourly basis. But if you're giving out a larger scope of supply, they need to take some of the ownership based on their knowledge to mitigate risk as they come up with problems against behind the walls. And the other thing that I was going to mention with regards to materials, quote, like, do the contract contingent on the price of lumber being X amount, allowing them for escalation for cost of materials only, or allowing them for delivery impact on materials only, not on their own other project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I think that makes sense also. In my experience, when I'm dealing with contractors, I usually like to get a quote and like be able to relatively hold them to a number, and just for the project's sake, have a relative idea of what my scope of work and actual costs are going to end up being, right? But there are different things that in that situation, like if you have your own project manager or you're managing the project, then obviously your job's going to be to, ensure that everybody's doing their job and, trying to be as cost efficient as possible also, right? So, I mean, there's that situation too to kind of look at, right? Like I think it's going to depend a lot on your personal situation and how you're going about running your business and what what your constraints are.
Yeah, there was one other brief thing I was going to mention. I don't know if it's so much applicable to us, given that most of our projects are in rehabbing existing structures. But I know of a few instances where investors that have gotten themselves into pre-built agreements on condos or homes over a year or so ago, and the builder had a clause in their contract allowing for a price escalation based on material increase.
Mm-hmm.
So they're coming back with an option. Either you pay me an additional 10% on the agreed upon price, or I can give you your money back, but no interest. So you would have sat on that deposit for about a year. And if you don't want to pay his new premium, all you do is get your money back. You're not.
Is that when they refer to like the levies, I guess, right? So they would have capped levies sometimes when you purchase these as an incentive, or are the levies more? Do you know much about that? Because I
think I know what you're talking about, but you said capped. Well, generally capped means based on normal conditions, and what's happened in the past year can be argued that it's not normal.
Right, because I have I've bought pre-construction condos, and I know one of them is like the levies for the 1-bedroom. I don't remember the exact numbers, so just an example, the 1-bedroom condo, there's a capped levy of $8,000, and then the 2-bedroom there's a capped levy of $10,000. So that's kind of covering, me as the investor to say, hey, I'm protected. I know that I can budget for X amount and no more than, but I haven't read the fine print. So you might be onto something.
Well, and again, Cali, so if this was pre-February, March 2020, that may have been reasonable. But a builder that's building a 4-story stick-built condo building can end up at a point, because it's lumber intensive, can be at a point where, okay, well, if you don't pay me more, I need to go back. Like, you know what I mean? They end up on that edge where there's so much increase, the levy is no longer sufficient for them to continue the project.
Maybe they're not even introducing levies now, right?
I don't know. I haven't evaluated that recently.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I know also, like, I mean, there's contractors or at least general contractors tend to add a percentage for materials anyways, if they're buying them, right? I think it's kind of, getting back to what we were discussing, it's really going to boil down to what your specific, job scope or your specific, problems are at the time. How you're going to choose to go about choosing your contractors and things like that. Like these tax levies and stuff like that, I'm sure are something, that are bigger corporations and stuff like that are introducing. And I'm sure they're going to have lots of paperwork. And Cali, if you're involved in some of this stuff, I really hope things are going to go A1.
Yeah, I mean, I think so far, so good. I wonder, okay, so this is a good question. On the contractor's perspective, is there a preference for the contractor that we could discuss? Does the contractor want to get paid by the hour, or do they want to get paid by the job? What would you prefer if you guys were on the tools, or what is the?
I think that's going to come down to a couple different things. So when you have somebody who's extremely skilled and who works specifically on one task and one task alone, and for the most part, they could accomplish in 4 hours what most people would accomplish in 8 or 10, just because they've been in that job for 15 or 20 years. Those people never want to get paid by the hour. It's always by the job. Because they're making way more money. You know, it's that thing where you get paid based on what you provide versus
The
how much work,
meritocracy.
how much you put in, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, those guys are always the ones that are happy to be paid by the job. And, you know, sometimes paying somebody by the hour who is just learning or is not proficient at something is great for them, but it can become fairly detrimental to yourself who's paying them, because essentially you're paying them to learn, right? So,
Right.
Laborers are probably our best hourly employee, because they're just going to be moving around from task to task. You know,
Interesting perspective.
So the best answer is the same as the best answer for everything else. It depends.
it depends. Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm gathering the consensus is not hourly. It sounds like everything's leading towards not hourly. You know,
I would say most contractors, or not most, but a large percentage of them, they want to just price a job and do the job, because then they can set their parameters on their numbers, and they can go, yeah, all right, here's what it is. Okay, if it goes over, it goes over. Maybe we need to put a clause in that, hey, if we have unforeseen or unexpected issues, then there could be price increases that will be communicated with the customer or client at that point in time. And then it's like one of those things where you both sign off on it and say, okay, all right, we continue forward. Or they just go, hey, yeah, we're going to have to eat this one on this job. And now we know for the next time type of idea.
So,
Sure.
That raises another question. How often are we investors getting contracts signed with our contractors before we get involved with the job? What kind of practices are you guys doing? I know I haven't always done it. I have signed some contracts, but it hasn't been a rule that I've always kind of followed.
I insist quite often that I get a written proposal on whatever letterhead that can be emailed to me, and anything like smaller jobs that I'm trying to, you know, even like plumbing or whatever, I'll get a text message with a brief description and a price, and so I ask them again to do that. But for the most part, I insist on obtaining some form of formal document that can be, you know, even if it's a response to an email to saying yes, I'm good, or an e-signature or whatever it is. But for the most part, I'm insisting on that. Yeah.
And how descriptive are you getting with your scope of work that they're kind of?
That's the problem. Is that that's the problem. It's on me. Is that I end up being way more descriptive in my RFQ, request for quotation, and all I ask is for them to copy and paste it into their letter format and say all of the above, this much.
Right.
That doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
But that does sound like a good practice, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
For sure.
and having Alex's, PI that highly detailed, I think that's awesome. Really, personally, because like, I mean, I know myself, I'm just like, okay, well, this is the job that I want you to do. I'm going to assume that you know how to freaking do it. And let's kind of agree to that. But I mean, you know, even getting that on some kind of letterhead that Alex is saying, at least it's somewhere in writing, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you always want to be a little bit careful, because going in too much detail can make people, and then maybe it's a way to weed these like bad contractors out. By going into too much detail, if they get their guard up and they end up bumping the price because they feel like I'm going to be too demanding, they may, as I said, increase the price. But so be it.
I guess you have a choice at the end, right? At least you have transparency and you can kind of decide. Brad, I know you were kind of.
Sorry.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, on this one, it's tough. Like, it depends on who you want to deal with, right? Let's look at contractors as a whole. There's like larger companies. Those are the companies that you're going to get a very detailed list from, and you're going to get like a fairly high detailed quotation from, and things along those lines. There is the majority of contractors, and I would say probably on our end, the majority of guys that we're using are typically guys who are just like, hey, I'm a contractor and I'm self-employed, but I'm my only employee, right? Like, that's what they do. And I would say the majority of those guys are not paperwork guys. Like, those are the guys that you're going to get a bill from 3 months later just because they're too busy trying to make the money that they need to make to keep running their business, but don't have time to sit down and do billings and stuff. And, so to get like from those guys, they could be extremely good at what they do. They just aren't willing to do the hire of the secretary, right? To look after all the paperwork end of things.
They need some counsel.
And that's where you're going to run into, okay, where do you weigh the options? You're like, hey man, this guy is really great. He is really good at what he does. He really sucks at paperwork. Whatever. Yeah, I'm still going to use him and carry on. But
how you mitigate that is by giving him so that's exactly where it's important to be that much more detailed in your request to him. Show it to him. And be like, okay, do you agree to everything here? And get him to sign your request for a quotation. I don't need you to regurgitate it back, but this is going to be the binding document.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes sense to me too, because you have a scope of work, and you can only go so far as an estimate goes. And I was always kind of the same way when I do my handyman kind of job, right? And I always tell people, if I have to open up a wall or if I have to dig, I can't really give you an exact number, because you never know what you're going to run into, right?
And I think it's good practice, especially as we're scaling and you have multiple projects going on. Like, you can do one project and kind of, hey, we discussed this. I can remember what I said to you on this job. But when you have like 2, 3, 4, and there's a slightest change or variation from the starting plan, it's kind of hard to say with confidence, no, I remember I told you that I wanted the flooring to go this direction, or I wanted, I wanted the lengths of the laminate to go this, or whatever flooring you choose. But just the little things, right? I think it's good to keep things documented as much as possible. What are you guys finding are you getting proof of insurance for the guys that are doing work on your projects, or how is that going?
Don't you, doesn't your insurance company ask for a certificate of insurance?
Yeah. So I have had that, but I find that depending on, sometimes one contractor who is doing a larger scope of work, like Brad was saying, some of these smaller outfits, I find there's sometimes resistance. Whether they're hiding something, us as professionals have to remember that at the end of the day, we're responsible, right? So we kind of have to make sure that before we give the contract or before we allow them to start doing the work, is that we do our duty and to require them to provide it. Now, you can get in scenarios where, the price is so freaking good that you're just like, oh, do I want to push this guy away, or do I need this done, right? And who has a story to share?
Well, I think that kind of depends on the level of the investor too, right? Who is, because are you the GC on most of these, or the project manager on your own projects, right? It's going to come down to, I think, level of skill with that, also with experience. Because I know myself personally, I went in and going to do a project or something, I brought somebody in who ended up not being skilled as they said. You know what I mean? So it's just who are you hiring? If this guy's so great, and how big is this job? What are the chances that they're going to get hurt? Do they have WCB? Do you have WCB that you could potentially cover them under if something were to happen? Right? I don't know. I think there's a lot of questions to be answered within that. And I think it comes down to a situational thing, right? What are your thoughts, Alex? I'm sure Alex has a million things to say to this one.
No. I would. I tend to agree with you a little bit in that it might depend on the scope of the renovation. on a lipstick flip that you can do with various subcons, yeah, I mean, right or wrong, I'd be inclined to proceed with what makes sense to me and not push that too much, especially if I'm GCing a project. On my Toronto project, which is a lot more involved and I'm hands on, my general contractor has me as a beneficiary. So he's provided his certificate of insurance, $2 million liability, I think, as a minimum, or maybe even more. And I'm named as a beneficiary, or the owner of the house is. So very similarly, I've recently contracted, the work hasn't started yet, for my Hamilton duplex conversion, a relatively large general contract. Well, they're well known in the investors world, for one thing. And it wasn't a point that I didn't even get this. I will get it now that I think about it, but I have no doubt this guy has sufficient insurance. So that's great. Whereas some of the other projects, a lipstick flip, yeah, I'm probably not gonna. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be working with more inexpensive labor, but that way, which will likely not have that kind of insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, you want to add anything, or you don't?
No, not really. Like,
Cool.
you know, I think it is what it is in this general world. And I guess I don't know. You could say employees. I don't like.
Yeah, it's one of those
I
decisions.
can't say I haven't been there either. So
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Who's watching?
Yeah.
I think this is going to all kind of boil down to, like, you know, how far are we planning to scale each of these businesses, and at what point in that scaling of your business are these measures going to be necessary? Like Hallie's mentioning, like, you know what I mean? He's, you know, on specific projects for these like little minor details, how to keep track of everything. And I think that's just kind of a administration thing at that point, right? Like kind of figuring it out. And I think that, you know, there's potential partnership there between Cali and Alex for sure, because Alex, I'm sure, could figure out how to build all these processes and would know exactly what each of these paperwork or whatever things would need to be. Create that once and maybe create a licensing kind of situation there for you, Alex.
Kelly, he's not the first one that is trying to set us up.
I know. I think it's the hair, man. I think it's the hair.
That's what it is.
Well, I just know how detailed Alex is and how wanting detail Cali is.
Hey, I hear you, man. I hear you. I think overall, this was a good topic because it's something that I've gotten some value from, and anyone else who's kind of paying attention to what we're doing has gotten some value from. Before we cut out, I think we should. Are there any wins that anybody wants to share? Kind of, you know, from the last week. Any wins or anything that they're working on? Struggles, whatever. Okay, Alex, man. Let's hear about it, brother.
Yeah, I hired a contractor.
Nice.
Yeah,
there you go.
Are you paying him up front or?
No. This is that one that I mentioned. So this is the big duplex conversion that.
Awesome.
I must have had a bit of a revelation at one point, and that there's so much more that I could be doing on future projects instead of trying to, not so much, definitely not, I wasn't going to swing the hammer on it, but even project managing it, and it's coming at a huge premium, and that's fine. There's got to be money well spent also in building the relationship with this particular contractor. So, yeah, I'm kind of happy about that.
That's huge, man. That's huge. I know how big that is for you. So, yeah, congrats. Keep us posted on the progress of that.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys when the milestone payments are coming up.
Yeah. Hey, there's a message from one of the viewers here. Oh, you can't see it, Alex. So Juan, your partner in crime, he says, I thought it was me who he hired. Yeah. So you guys got to do some talking afterwards. That's funny.
I'm going to see him in a few minutes. So
cool. Juan, thanks for tuning in, man. I hope you're doing well, brother.
Awesome.
How about anybody else want to share any wins? Anything?
Yeah, we just got a call a couple hours ago from one of my agents, and we got another property under contract that I'm going to be doing a JV partnership with for an actual duplex conversion. So
Cool.
That's going to be coming down the pipeline here in the next couple of months. So
Can we ask
Awesome,
where?
man.
it's up in Hanover as well.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
nice. I know you're wanting to stick to that. So I wasn't sure if you got distracted by the shiny squirrel.
Yeah. Oh, I'm overly distracted by a squirrel that we have going on right now, but it's turning into a project. But
You look like you're in a comfortable space, man. I think you're like, you don't seem bothered by it. You know what I mean? I think you're kind of, but I could be wrong. But it looks
you
like
know what?
you enjoy this.
I think I've been in this realm of things enough times that you're hopeful that you get into something and you're just like, oh yeah, okay, it worked out really good. But the reality of it is I was saying to Kirsten the other day, I'm like, there isn't a project that I get involved in that I don't have to restructure crap and there's not rotten stuff all over the place. What's going on here? This is ridiculous.
Do you enjoy it though, Brad? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's good. But
that's it, man. That's huge. That's huge.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Shawn, anything in your world kind of exciting? Any wins in this week you want to share?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm winning.
Cool.
Whether I've won or not is a different story.
I don't know. I saw you didn't mow the lawn the other day.
Yeah,
there you
go. I guess. I stared out the window at these other people doing the work for me, and I'm like, nah, I could probably do a better job. But,
Isn't that Ben? That's what Ben was saying today. He's
I'm
like,
not
you're
sure.
one of those guys who just watches people do the work.
Oh, what's that?
That's like what Ben was saying today. You're like one of those guys who watches the people do the work that you hire.
100%.
And they charge you more because of it.
Well, I obviously kind of left them. It was mostly the guy saving the deck, right? Like, I mean, he's doing an all right job. Don't get me wrong. There's just a few things that I would have done differently to maybe make it a little bit better and longer lasting, and kind of had a conversation with him about, right? But, that's just me, right? Like being the perfectionist that I am whenever I do my own work, right? So, he was good, and it was, but at least I'm allowing him to still do it. I haven't,
Good.
I haven't said, okay, you're fired or anything, right? But, no, but that is definitely a win. I think not having to do it, right? Like, I'm able to open up way more of my time to actually, focus on the business. So that's good news.
That's huge. Yeah, man. That's definitely something to celebrate. So that's some serious growth.
Yeah.
How about you, Cali?
This week I had a pretty interesting call. I got a call from one of the campaigns that I did back in September, and so I got a deal under contract and I signed it already. Like a couple days, just called one of my buyers and they were happy to pick it up. So actually, myself and Alan, we had a campaign together in the Windsor area, so that was pretty cool. I went door knocking. So I found I was driving around. I wasn't looking to do this, but I saw the grass and I'm like, you know what? I was with my buddy. I'm like, let's knock on this door, see what happens. Knock on the door. Tenants are in there. They're like, yeah, we don't have a phone number for the landlord, but here's the email. And so I emailed the landlord. They called me right away. We're currently in conversation. These tenants, pretty disgusting. They didn't pay for, I think, like over a year. So there's like $30,000.
Wow.
So it's actually I can't believe it, man. It kind of it makes my blood boil when you hear these stories. So I actually want to help I want to help the sellers here by just kind of relieving them of that stress and getting them their money and so we're working on something now and I'll keep you guys posted. That's in the Oshawa area, potential duplex conversion. So just,
awesome.
So it's kind of exciting, like how things happen like that unexpectedly, and no complaints. Life's good, man. Life is good.
Nice.
Awesome.
Awesome. So we are past actually our time here. So if anybody wants to start doing the closing statements, maybe, yeah.
Let's go ABCS, like the ABCs of real estate. So Alex, you go first, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Alex Mustatea, based out of Hamilton, Ontario. Focus on flips and conversion projects, multifamilies, anywhere from GTA down to Chatham and potentially Windsor as well. My phone number 289-769-8975, and you can always catch me on Instagram at alexandru.mustatea.
It's constantly expanding. I think every week Alex is
sorry, Alex.
Expanding.
It's in winter.
Yeah, Brad Plume, working on flips, as well as just recently getting into a little bit more JV end of things when it comes to some whole properties, mainly in the Grey and Bruce County, but also have stuff going on in the Tri-Cities as well. Feel free to give me a shout anytime, 519-379-7911, or Instagram at brad.plume.
Awesome. Cali Braithwaite, thanks again, everyone, for kind of listening to us share our journey. I am, again, actively flipping and assigning in the GTA, flipping in Moncton, flipping in Southern Ontario, flipping in Peterborough, flipping everywhere. So if you ever want to reach out to me and talk to me about some of the deals I got going on and hear about how you may be able to get involved, I'd be more than glad to talk to you and just chat and see what you're up to. Maybe I can add some value to your day. 289-207-5316. Instagram at Grow with Cali, or find me on Facebook, Cali Braithwaite.
Awesome. And my name's Shawn Gunther, and I'm actually in the Moncton area, mostly focusing on wholesaling, but always looking to expand. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Moncton, New Brunswick, definitely reach out to me, and you can get me at 506-800-4289, or on Instagram at the Moncton Wholesaler, or on Facebook, just Shawn Gunther. And thanks again for joining us this week, and we'll be back again next Friday at the same time. And everybody take care. See you then.